Hello, welcome to The Kitchen Chemist. I'm your boy, amateur pro home chef Nathanael Levinson, and we're making dumplings. Now, dumplings is just a really generic term for all sorts of different foods, but basically the idea is you have a dough that either has something in it, or it could just be the dough, that is boiled or steamed or baked or fried, and basically every country on planet Earth has their own version. So we're going to be going through a couple different kinds, exploring boiled dumplings, a couple of different kinds of steamed dumplings, a couple of different kinds of fried dumplings. What's beautiful about all of these recipes is that you can make them ahead of time, freeze them, and they'll taste just as good. And it's also a great family activity. Gather everyone around, make a bunch of dumplings, eat whatever you want to eat, and then freeze the rest. So with that in mind, we're gonna start off with a good old American classic, chicken and dumplings. Now, here's the good thing about this recipe. It's actually 3 recipes in one. It's a chicken soup recipe, it could be a chicken and noodle soup recipe, and it's also a chicken and dumplings recipe. So, first things first, we gotta get our soup together. So, you will need carrots, celery, onion, garlic, a whole chicken, and various herbs and spices. For the dumplings, you will need flour, baking soda, salt, and milk. So I've got an onion, a couple of carrots, a couple of stalks of celery, and 2 garlic cloves, all rough chopped, kind of big chunky pieces. And we're just gonna saute that in some olive oil, gonna add some herbs and spices. I'm keeping it simple. I'm just gonna use some Old Bay, one of my favorite seasoning blends, some Old Bay and some herbes de Provence, which is just an herb mix, thyme, marjoram, savory, rosemary, basil, sage, and lavender. You can use any herbs or mixture of herbs that you want, dried or fresh. If you use fresh herbs, don't chop them up, just tie them together with a little butcher's twine called a bouquet garni. You put that in when it's cooking and you pull it out. We're also gonna add some bay leaves during the boiling process. I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of herbs, dried herbs. And 2 teaspoons of Old Bay. Some bay leaf. Last but not least, a pinch of salt. Gonna kind of sweat that down until the vegetables get a little softer. Then we're just gonna add our chicken, cover it with water, and bring it to a boil. So for this, I'm gonna be using a whole chicken. You can use any kind of chicken you want. I recommend avoiding chicken breasts because they will dry out. But bone-in chicken is very good for this. The bones add a little more unctuousness to the broth. But any chicken you want to use, bits, pieces, whole chicken, super easy, whatever works. We're just gonna plonk in our whole chicken, cover it with water, and bring it to a boil. All right, now it's time to make our dumplings for the chicken and dumplings. Now there are 2 styles of dumplings. There are rolled dumplings and there are drop dumplings. So really the only difference in the dough is how much liquid you add. So for drop dumplings, you want something that's closer to a batter, and you'll basically scoop it and drop it straight in, almost like biscuit dough. And you'll get these big fluffy dumplings. We're gonna do rolled dumplings today, so they'll be flatter and they won't expand as much. Both are delicious. Again, the main difference is just the amount of liquid you add. So we're gonna do rolled dumplings. I usually do drop dumplings. So we're gonna start with 2 cups of flour. To that, we're gonna add a tablespoon of baking powder. Now, baking powder is baking soda that also has a dried acid in it, and usually tartaric acid. Baking soda is a base, so acid and base, you get carbon dioxide and water. So that creates the lift. So it's a non-yeast leavening agent. And baking powder can do it all on its own. So if you have just baking soda, you gotta add some acid. That's why if you see recipes with baking soda in it, they'll have something like buttermilk or lemon juice to get that reaction going. But we're just gonna use baking powder. And we're gonna add 1 teaspoon of salt, And we're gonna mix that together. Then to that, we're going to add 1 cup of milk. You can use buttermilk if you want them to be a little tartar, or you can use water if you don't want to use milk. That's fine too. And if you wanted to make drop dumplings, you would add maybe like 2 cups of milk. We're gonna add 1 cup, maybe add 2 cups of milk, and just keep adding milk until not soupy batter, but more of a batter consistency. All right, so this is starting to come together as a batter. So I'm gonna throw it out on my floured surface. Work it until it comes together. We just want it to the point where we could roll it out. All right, this seems about right. So, again, making sure we have a well-floured surface. We're going to roll this out till it's about 1/4 inch thick. Making sure we keep everything well-floured. It's a gentle dough. We're not making we're not working it, so it's not gonna be very glutinous, so it's not gonna be super stretchy. It's gonna be a little bit on the fragile side. That's okay. That doesn't matter too much. We're just gonna kind of roll it out until it's the thickness we want, which we're gonna shoot for about 1/4 inch. Again, flour everything nicely, flip it over. Don't worry if it tears. Just roll that bad boy out. Beautiful. And then we're just gonna cut it into small pieces. So I'm gonna do like maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. Remembering that these are going to expand as they cook. So we're just gonna hit these with a little more flour, make sure they don't stick together. We've got our dumplings ready to go in our hot boiling broth. So, our broth has been cooking for about an hour. We took the chicken out, we shredded it, threw the bones away, put the chicken back in, and all we gotta do is drop the dumplings. One at a time so they don't stick together, please. So that's gonna cook for about 10 minutes. Make sure to season the soup before you add the dumplings. So bam, nice bowl of chicken and dumplings. Hey, leave the dumplings out, you got delicious chicken soup. Instead of adding dumplings, add some noodles, you got chicken noodle soup. It's a great recipe. You can add more vegetables, different cuts of chicken. It's really simple, easy to do, definitely recommend it. And a whole chicken is very inexpensive. It's like $8 for a whole chicken. So all in all, it's like $10 for this meal. So let's get in there, eat one of them dumplings. Oh yeah, those dumplings are just a little bit chewy, nice and soft. Oh yeah, baby. This dinner is a winner. Till next time, I'm your amateur bro home chef Nathanael Levinson. Dumplings. They're still too hot. Why am I such a wimp? I'm editing now. I can do whatever I want.